G'day YouTube, Turbo Tristan here. Welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to fit a SKUNK2 intake manifold to a D16Y. It's time to spool up. Alright guys, so we've got Sel's car back again. Hopefully this video doesn't have a lot of wind noise in it. It's a very cold day today in Melbourne, but what we're going to do is we're going to tidy up Sel's car. If you remember in the last video, I put out a shout out to if anyone wants some help or anyone wants some parts fitted for content, because things are a bit slow. I want to make sure I keep bringing the mods to you, I keep bringing the boost, and I keep bringing content for you guys. So Sel, who you'll remember this car from a couple of videos ago, we fitted some pretty useless mods to his car, but it's his car and he wanted these things done. So we fitted the rear chassis brace and a short shifter, so that was a bit of fun. And in this video he's gone out and bought himself a SKUNK2 manifold from Marketplace. Now his car is stock standard, it does have a full exhaust system. He did used to have an air intake on there or a pod filter, but he's ditched that and gone back to stock. But we're going to stick this on. We're going to have a play around with the timing on his car, and we're going to try and advance that 1 or 2 degrees and see if it makes any difference to the power. It used to be a trick that we used to do on cars back in the day. There's a lot of brackets and things that aren't being used, so we'll probably tidy up some of those. The strut tower brace, when we put that back on, we'll do it up properly, nice and tight, and we'll tidy up some of this pollution gear here. You're going to need your 12mm, your 14mm, your 10mm, some pliers, and we're going to switch this out now. This video was going to be a little bit more exciting. We were going to fit an AEM cam sprocket and a lumpy cam, but it turns out this is a VTEC cam, and that's not a VTEC. We're going to not bother with this and this because there's no point fitting this if we can't do that, and this just won't do anything anyway. So we're going to leave that for today, and we're just going to do the SKUNK2 manifold. Now once I've got the other one off, we'll do a side-by-side comparison of these two and we'll show you the differences. Alright guys, so first of all what you're going to need to do is unplug everything, disconnect all these sensors, get all that out of the road. I'll take all this stuff off when I grab the tools in a second. We'll disconnect this, we don't need that. That just doesn't need to be there at all, so that can go. Undo the injectors. Get rid of all this. We are going to clean up this engine bay. God, nothing's tight. Let's get rid of that. That's the brake booster, kind of need that. Take off all this. Useless things. TPS. Oh, we got brackets flopping around. Okay. Well, I'm going to take this off first. Fuel rail, throttle linkage, intake. So I'm going to grab the tools, put you guys on a time lapse. Perfect. so that didn't take very long at all. The intake manifold is off. I'm gonna tidy up some of these wires and do a little bit of a tuck and get rid of things that we don't need, such as the charcoal canister, pollution gear, and all those little vacuum lines and crap that go to the charcoal canister. So we'll clean those up, tidy that up. For some reason or other, the water that came out of this engine was browner than I've ever seen before, but I'll put some coolant in there for you, Sal, and make sure it's, you know, done properly. But that was pretty gross, that water. I'm gonna have to clean up where the old gasket was. It's sort of ripped off a bit, so I'll scrape that off with a razor blade. Down here, this is your factory sort of sump breather, and then this goes back into your air intake. So this is one of the spots where you would use some hose to do a catch can, and then this is the other one over here. So we might dummy something up for him. I've taken that ugly plastic thing off the fuel injectors, so I'm going to run some electrical tape around that so it looks nice and neat, and then do a bit of a wire tuck for him. Now this is the factory intake plenum. There's quite a large bracket that goes somewhere underneath here. Bolts on like that to keep everything in place. That doesn't go on the new one. We've got to take the throttle off, replace all of this stuff and put it onto the new one. And here you can see how it sits out, curves back around. Pretty decent design. I was actually trying to buy this intake myself, but Cell beat me to it, so I'm just going to modify my standard one as you would have seen in another video. So that's what it looks like on the head. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bolts to undo, or nuts, and then it comes off. You've got to take off the fuel rail, which goes on there. But otherwise, pretty straightforward setup. A couple of radiator hoses, the coolant lines for the idle air control, this silly thing, whatever that is. But I'll swap it over and put the SKUNK2 one on and see how that looks in comparison on an engine, so you can see it all the way around. All right, and this is the SKUNK2 one on. As you can see, it comes out quite a lot longer, sits right far back in the engine bay, and then it's got a much larger opening here, which means it can accept bigger throttle bodies. Small one versus the big one, I'll measure that soon when I've got both my hands free. Very long runners, that should give you a little bit extra torque on an aspirated engine. All of the factory points are here. Block a couple of these off. Here's a bit of a weird comparison, very hard to hold, but it sits out maybe another inch or so. We'll put the throttle body on and we'll get it back in the car. Okay, so things that you need to do is swap over the throttle body, put the injector O-rings back in there, and then also take the fuel rail stand and put those back in there. They're just a 14mm, and they just screw straight in ×2, and then nip them down with the 14mm. It's almost ready to go back on. It is starting to rain, guys, but we're ready to put this all back together. Firstly, I just need to scrape the old manifold off. So clean that up. Try not to slice your fingers off, so I did last weekend. It's pretty tricky stuff. This is harder than taking the manifold off. Can't get over how black that water was that came out of the cooling system on this car. Not a good sign, my friend. Not a good sign at all. There we go. All off, nice and clean. Clean down the back there. Check for any other leaks. Everything else looks good. Time for the new gasket. So this is a brand new second-hand gasket that I'm using. It's one that I had in the shed. Cell didn't have one, couldn't find one anywhere. There is, what the heck? Strange. Okay, so I've run into a very slight small problem. The gasket that I have must be for a different model Civic, because the water outlet hole is in a different spot. So what I've done is, I'm still going to use it. It'll still work. It'll still seal vacuum tight and watertight. What I've done is I've put some silicone around the hole on both sides of that gasket there. And I've also put a little bit on the manifold. So let's just get that on. So many things in the way. This manifold's so much longer. There we go. We've got clearance once it's on. Just that first initial getting it past all the brake lines and things was pretty tricky. Looks like $1 million bucks. What I'll do now is I'll throw you on a time lapse and I'll get all this all buttoned up for you.
Perfect.
So it's all back together. I'm just going to try and do a first start now. Hopefully there's no leaks, hopefully there's no air leaks and it doesn't idle like crazy, but we'll soon find out. Sit this down here on the tripod. So that was a success. Manifold's fitted, there's no leaks, so I'm going to switch it off and check out the timing. Alright, so we're going to check out the timing on the car now, which is something that Sel wanted me to check for him. May even play around with the advance on it. What we need to do is take your trusty timing light, hook it up to the battery so she's got power, positive, negative. You need to click this onto the #1 spark plug lead. So number 1 is the closest to the front of the camshaft, or the closest one to the timing belt. And then hopefully down here we can see the timing marks. Alright, so just as I thought, I can't see any of the timing marks, so I'm going to switch the camera off and go and mark the timing marks with a white pen. Alright, so take 2, I've marked the crank, so let's fire it up and check the timing. Now the timing's already slightly advanced, so it's hitting top dead center before the timing marks line up. So I'm going to leave that as it is. Looks okay. Probably about 15 degrees advance. Could probably do with some more, but I think we'll just leave it at the moment. Looks pretty good. Alright YouTube, so we've ditched the dirty old manifold. Here's the finished product. Strut bars nice and tight now. Wire tuck's done, so you can't see all the messy wires or that big plastic thing there. So this piece of junk is gone. It was ugly, so we ditched it. The intake manifold is on. We've deleted some crap that doesn't need to be there for a much cleaner look. So that looks the goods. She's ready to terrorize the streets now, mate. Enjoy. If anybody else locally within a 5k radius of Noble Park needs anything done or has any cars they want to get featured or do some filming on, don't forget to hit me up in the comments below. More than happy to help out. You're helping me by giving me content to share, and also I'll help you out with doing some work on your car. Some other news for the channel. We're just over 450 subscribers. I'm still trying as hard as I can to bring content out every single week and get my subscribers up to 1,000, so then I can start to earn something from doing YouTube. I really want to aim to be a full-time or at least a part-time YouTuber, and I want to do a lot more content as far as featuring cars, doing some racing, traveling to Sydney, seeing my mates up there, and also going to roll racing events, bringing you live coverage. I want to expand the fleet. I want to get some drones. I want to get the GoPro 360 so I can mount that on the roof and get all the racing angles for you guys and really step up my game. So the news is I've started a Patreon account, and I'll put the link for that in the description. Now what Patreon is a pretty weird concept for me. I don't really understand it, but I love it because it means that you guys at home, if you want to support the channel, if you want to see me grow, if you want to see me do more things to more people's cars, more things to my car, more projects, do different cars, more money on the Accord, and an all-wheel drive K-swap. I've got an idea for another car which I'm going to be getting to once my car's dynoed and been to the track and the missus car is sorted and looking nice. We're going to jump onto an all-wheel drive K-swap project and start going to the drag strip. So I'm going to retire my car from the all-wheel drive plan, and it's just going to be a focused circuit car. So it's going to be going around corners. The next car is going to be going really fast into straight lines. So what I've done is I've started a Patreon account, and what that means is if you want to support the channel and help me grow, at least until I can become a full-time YouTuber, it really helps me buy more parts, buy more cameras, do more events, and film more content for you guys. There's 2 levels of Patreon, a low boost and a high boost, so just $5 or $10 a month to help the channel grow. I'm not going to spend any of that money on myself. Living in Melbourne is quite comfortable, pricing is reasonable and affordable. It's not like Sydney, so anything from the Patreon goes back into the channel, goes back into content for you guys, and it's going to help us grow. It's going to help me do more things. So sign up if you want to. There's no pressure. So far we've got 4 Patreons and they're friends and family, so I'm really appreciative of you guys. You'll see their names at the end of the video. I do want to get onto some t-shirt designs, sticker designs, and start to get some merch happening for myself, my friends, my Patreons, and my supporters. So that's the projection for the channel. Stickers, t-shirts, Patreon, merchandise, and getting to over 1,000 subscribers and growing the channel so I can do more projects. So starting this week, all of my Patreons are going to get the videos on Sunday night, as per usual, when I do my editing and uploads. Everyone else, you're going to have to wait until Wednesday, and then you'll be able to see the latest project. So this one's going to go out normal time on Sunday. The following week, you're going to be seeing that around about Wednesday. As a Patreon, you get input into the channel, and also you get early release of stuff. And when t-shirts become available, depending on how many Patreons I have, I'll probably do a free run of stickers and shirts to everyone that signs up. But as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next episode next week, and don't forget to bring the boost.
Perfect.